The ForgeBox module of the week this week is TOTP, which stands for Time-Based One-Time Passwords. This is, if any of you have used Google Authenticator, Authy, it's built into some password managers now like 1Password. This is I'm going to sign up for two-factor authentication, I scan a QR code, and now my phone generates codes every 30 seconds.
So can you use the actual Google Authenticator app or something with this?
Yeah. So this handles all the stages of that. You can create a secret, the Authenticator URL, and even a QR code for it. Scan it with Google Authenticator, and it will start generating codes. You can then validate those codes with the given secret to make sure that they match for that user. You can also generate the tokens if you need straight from this library. So it can handle all of the things that you need there.
Interesting. So does this use a third-party web service then?
No.
The
one-time passwords, the time-based, they're all, it's all math. It's all HMAC stuff. So hashes. The time-based ones it uses the current time as the counter in buckets. That's what the 30 seconds is for.
Okay.
So given the secret, you can calculate every hash at any time, which is, again, why keep that secret.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just math.
So, I use the Google Authenticator app, and I have 5 or 6 different VPNs and sites and stuff. And I've never really known where these came from. I always assumed that some remote web service pushed here's the current password. But you're saying that's not the case. The app, with the knowledge of the secret and whatever else it goes with, can just look at the current time and tell me what the current code is. That's what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah. Given the secret and the current time, you can generate a code.
That's pretty nice. So how long before we had this in Content Box?
That's a good question. That was one of the reasons for building it. Content Box already had two-factor authentication.
Exactly.
But the only one that was built in was Amazon SNS. So it would send you a text message with a code, which those are not going on any sort of math pattern like this. It's just generated and then match what generated.
And that's probably why I assumed it worked that way, because I was used to the text or the email push, which obviously comes from some server. The text ones are annoying because I've been on a flight using the in-flight Wi-Fi and I want to get on and do some work, but it's a VPN that only allows me to get a text password. I'm like, I can't get text messages at 40,000 feet. Come on, guys.
But that would not be a problem with this. If you want to just play around with it, you can actually clone the module, start your server, and the index page is actually a playground.
Nice.
If I have it up, I might let you talk about something else. If I can find it, I can show it on the podcast here. But
was this sponsored by a client or just something that we did in order?
No, this was me scratching an itch. I wanted to work on something that wasn't that had an end in sight. It was a deliverable. I could get it done. I've always been interested how it works. There was some interesting challenges, the secrets are base 32 encoded, which is not built in to Command Box. Luckily, actually, our friend Mr. Ben Nadal has a base 32 CFC, which I took in through.
Can't you use the format in or whatever function for that?
It didn't do what I needed, so maybe.
Interesting.
That was one nice thing about this being such a standard, is I could pull test cases from lots of places. The other fun things about this were learning about bitwise functions, and some limitations in some of our CF engines. They all assume your number is an integer when you do operations like bit and, which was not true here, so I had to figure out some fun workarounds in Java.
I'm not actually sure how a decimal would be represented in binary. When I think of, all the bit and examples, I went through in college, you're always just looking at some integer represented, as an 8-bit, byte or something, and it's very simple. But if you have a decimal, what does that actually look like in binary?
I mean, it's a good question, and the numbers aren't decimals in the code, but that's what ColdFusion, or at least Lucy under the hood, was treating everything as a double. and then casting it to int, and that was a problem when the number was big. So,
Big.
so I have it here. Let me switch
Speaking
over
of
to
big
the screen.
numbers, Scott Steinbeck had mentioned in the chat earlier, another one of the fixes going in 5.3.9 Lucy is some improvements to really, really big numbers in JSON, where Lucy, once you get past like 12 digits, decimals, I think, would start like truncating and turning stuff into strings. And I know that I think you might have worked with Misha on that too, but there's been some improvements to that, which I know trips a lot of people up.
Got it. So here's the index page for this module, and I can regenerate this secret, and you can see that's the base 32 secret. This is the thing not to share.
Wait, can I scan that with my Google Authenticator app
You
right now?
absolutely can, and you will start getting codes. And so
Oh,
this is the URL that is in that QR
example
code,
company,
right? And then you want to give me a token right
yeah,
on there.
549984.
Validate. Token is valid, and if I change it to something else, invalid.
Nice. Yeah, it shows up right here. Example company, and then in parentheses, there's example plus company.
Yep.
That's obviously what you have.
Regenerate the secret. Obviously, that token isn't valid. Most authenticators will let you go like plus or minus a period, which is usually 30 seconds. All of that's configurable in here as well. Most of this
really
work was based off of, especially the QR code stuff that Alan Quinlan worked on here at Ortus. So I found his shadow library after I had published my first version, and his code helped me get to this point. So
that's really easy though, as far as like, because I assumed it would be like a real pain in the butt to like integrate something like this in, but like you basically just started the server, and I scanned the QR code, and I had codes, and you just put in the plumbing to check them.
Yeah. So if you were coding this along in your app, you would generate the secret and the QR code. It's very recommended that you have the user give you a valid code before you save that secret, in case they didn't save it right.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I've always wondered, is there any sort of like grace period where, because whenever I'm doing my codes and I see the timer and it's almost at 0 and I'm typing it as fast as I can, if by the time I hit submit it's like 2 seconds past, is there like a grace period that will allow like the previous code to still work for 10 seconds?
So most of them are based that you can enter one up to 30 seconds in the past and up to 30 seconds in the future.
Okay, to allow for some clock variation or whatever.
So here's the code for this one, which is just one file here. This is not using ColdFusion, but ColdFusion makes the Java stuff a lot easier. So right here, we're generating all of the config. This is the secret, the URL, and the QR code. Though you can generate one at a time. And here's it where we verify the code with that secret and the token they gave in. So just all in one file here. Here's that allowed time period discrepancy. So if you pump that up to like 100, you could go, whatever that is, like 300 seconds, and no, that's 3,000. I can't do math. 3,050 minutes, which is probably not what you want.
Yeah, that's just a little lax, but hey.
But by default, it does let you go one in the past. That was what I saw kind of as the consensus.
Nice. Yeah, because I've totally hit the button just right as that little clock animation was expiring, and it always still worked, and I always wondered about that.
Yeah.
We've answered so many questions today. My life is all making sense now.
So yeah, now you can do all of that in ColdFusion. It's TOTP. If you install it in the command box app, you can inject it and everything's ready to go.
And to clarify, you said it does not require ColdFusion to stand
correct. If you do want to use this in a non-ColdFusion setting, everything will work except for the barcode the QR code generation. For that, you need to either install I can't pronounce it. It's like CFZXING based on the Java one, and configure that, or bring your own barcode generator kind of thing. So, but everything else will still work if you're not in ColdFusion. You can just generate the secret, generate the URL, all that. You just can't do barcodes.
Nice. And by barcode, do you mean QR code?
Yeah, it's all the same thing. So
I saw a cartoon this week of two zebras talking, and one had the stripes, and the other zebra had a big QR code on the side. He said, "Come on, man, upgrade."
That was our ForgeBox module of the week, brought to you by Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, proudly sponsored by Ortus Solutions. You can see the new episodes every week on cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io or on the Ortus Solutions YouTube channel.